We live our lives, sometimes complicated by things, work, relationships, by pressures we put on ourselves. In the landscapes of Vermont, I believe there is a lesson for us. God's creation sings, and if you listen, you'll hear it in the trees, the water, the sky. From the colorful autumn foliage of Bennington, to the waves on the shores of Lake Willoughby, from the gorge of the Quechee River, to the rushing waters of Middlebury, nature is not only putting on a show, but inviting us to come and explore, to refresh your mind. The covered bridges, the old steeples, as well as the people of Vermont remind us there is more to life than just stuff. Sometimes it's the simple things that provide the greatest value. So come with us as we travel through Rutland, Manchester, Burlington, Chester, Montpelier, Stowe, Waterbury, Woodstock, Island Pond, the Northeast Kingdom, and more, giving you travel tips along the way. We saved a seat for you as we explore vibrant, beautiful, and colorful Vermont. We begin our journey entering Vermont from the southwest border on Route 9. This welcome sign, kind of symbolic of Vermont. It's small, doesn't call much attention to itself. Kind of like the state. I think that is the way the people of Vermont prefer. Oh, they love the visitors, very friendly, but they are just fine with Vermont staying the way that it is. They have a piece of heaven here, and certainly they don't want that to ever change. You won't find massive skyscrapers here. In fact, this battle monument in Bennington, at 306 feet high, is the tallest structure in the whole state. It honors the Battle of Bennington during the Revolutionary War in 1777. Bennington was the very first town in Vermont, chartered in 1749. This town is ideal for a weekend getaway. It is near the southwest border, so if you don't have time to go deeper into Vermont, you can experience a typical quaint Vermont Main Street. There are many bed and breakfast locations, a farmer's market, potteries, the Bennington Museum, a great town to view the fall foliage, as well as old world architecture. It is the most populous town in southern Vermont. There are 3 historic districts within the town. We stayed at the Starlight Inn. It was pet-friendly, an older hotel about a mile from downtown. There is also the Catamount Inn, a little closer to downtown. Consistent with Vermont's old-school lifestyle, I'm using a map. It's the Vermont Official Road Guide of Attractions. You can get it at any tourist info center or order it online. I have the link below. Extremely useful. Normally I do everything online, but there are many good spots that are not on the internet. You may ask, why do I still use a Garmin? This is why. I can plug in the places I want to go, then go to recently viewed, and it shows what directions and mileage these areas are. Very useful. Many scenic covered bridges in Vermont, a couple here in Bennington. This the Paper Mill Bridge. Everywhere you look here, a scene right out of a Thomas Kinkade painting in motion. In between Bennington and Manchester in the great metropolis of Arlington, Vermont, is the Village Chocolate Shop and Village Peddler to satisfy your chocolate needs. A $1 fine for driving faster than a walk over the Chiselville Bridge. Gee, that doesn't sound like much of a fine, $1. We continue up Route 7A to Manchester. We go back in time to the early 1900s, to the home of Robert Lincoln, the only child of Abraham to survive to maturity. This car driven by his daughter Mary Todd Lincoln, a 1929 Franklin. It is $23 to take a tour of the house and property. The garden in the back of the house. Lincoln descendants lived on this property until 1975. We continue to Main Street, Manchester. We pass the Taconic Hotel, a boutique-style inn. Surrounded by mountains in a picturesque village, it's Copper Grouse Restaurant with outdoor seating to enjoy the view. Experience Vermont fly fishing at the Orvis store, with instructors to train you with lessons tailored to your skill level. Next door, the fly fishing school facility. Further down on Main Street, you can enjoy Mediterranean cuisine at the Mystic Cafe and Wine Bar, or my favorite, Thai food at the Thai Basil. Many antique stores in Vermont, like the Vermont Picker. We now make a little detour east to Chester. Chester is known for the Stone Village Historic District, as well as where you can ride the Green Mountain Railroad to Rutland or Rockingham Falls, or in the fall take the Pumpkin Patch Express, a kid's favorite, where you can put on costumes and go to a pumpkin patch. The trains were not running because of COVID. Such a shame. But we'll show you plenty of trains in New Hampshire and Maine. The town of Wallingford, located between the Taconic and Green Mountain ranges. The Kingsley Covered Bridge, just south of Rutland. Rutland is located on the western side of the Killington Peak of the Green Mountains. It is a stop for Amtrak's Ethan Allen Express, which provides daily service to New York City. Vintage church steeples adorn the downtown skyline amidst colorful foliage. Main Street with a late 1800s frontier-style architecture. Because Rutland is the third largest city in Vermont, it has more services than the smaller Vermont towns. Yet it still also maintains a quaint small-town atmosphere. We stayed at the Days Inn here, a good stay, near plenty of fast food places. We now head east on Route 4, crossing the Green Mountain Range towards Woodstock. Near the summit is Pico Mountain, a popular ski resort with 57 alpine trails, 7 lifts, a vertical drop of about 2,000 feet, the Pico Resort Hotel and condominiums within walking distance to the slopes. Route 4 runs along the Quechee River. Nestled on the other side of the Green Mountains is Woodstock, the Lincoln-covered bridge on the west side of town. There are a wide variety of things to see in the Woodstock region, with Quechee, Hartford, and White River Junction all in the same area. Woodstock Village is surrounded by colonial architecture and vintage bridges. This is certainly one of America's prettiest towns. It has a romantic feel to it, which makes it popular for destination weddings. The Tassville covered bridge with an impressive waterfall next to it. The Sugarbush Farm is located a 15-minute scenic drive northeast of Woodstock. You'll find free samples of 15 varieties of cheese, 4 grades of maple syrup. The farm store has jams, mustard, spreads, and meats. You can walk through the maplewood trees and see a video of how syrup is made. Open from 9 to 5. We enter Quechee Village, located in the town of Hartford, a scenic drive along Quechee Main Street. We now head to the largest gorge in Vermont. The Quechee River Gorge is 165 feet deep and can be viewed from the Route 4 bridge and from trails on both sides of the gorge. A half-mile up the river is a dam and waterfall. At Quechee Gorge Village, a half-mile from the bridge, there is a wine and cheese shop, distillery, toy museum, a blacksmith shop. To purchase unique home decor product, enjoy cappuccinos and espresso at the Public House Diner. Book Segway tours around the countryside of Quechee. White River Junction is where the Connecticut River and the White River converge. The historic district reflects the architecture of the late 1800s and early 1900s. The Briggs Opera House hosts community arts and entertainment events. This train station is served by Amtrak's Vermonter, as well as the Green Mountain Railroad. for passenger excursions to Thetford and Norwich, Vermont. The Connecticut River is the borderline separating New Hampshire and Vermont. We head 8 miles south of Woodstock to what is said to be the most photographed farm in Vermont, Jenny Farm, a privately owned family farm that dates back to the 1700s. There is a nice grassy hill here that offers spectacular views of the valley. As we head towards Burlington, about 60 miles northwest of Woodstock is Middlebury, with its brick and stone buildings, along the gently sloping town nestled on the cascading waterfalls of Otter Creek. Middlebury is a must-do for culture, shopping, recreation, and overnight stays. It is where Robert Frost lived, a town full of inspiration for riders. Also plenty of outdoor adventure, with hiking, biking, golf, kayaking, fly fishing, and in the winter, cross-country and alpine skiing. We are going to venture out closer to the falls so that you can hear the sights and sounds of Middlebury. I have to say, we had Middlebury on our list of towns, but I was pleasantly surprised. Didn't expect the spectacular, beautiful waterfront area. This is known as the Marble Works District. Back on Route 7 for just a bit, we're going to head east again towards the capital of Vermont, Montpelier. It sits on the shores of the Winooski River, its Capitol building a Greek Revival architecture structure. At the top, a Greek goddess statue of agriculture, built in 1833. A multimedia exhibit depicts the state's history at the Vermont History Museum, adjacent to the Capitol. Montpelier, named after the city in France, is the least populated state capital in the country. About 3 times as many people work in the city as live here, many choosing to commute on Amtrak's Vermonter train. Recognized as one of the best small art towns in the U.S., the downtown historic district is the largest in Vermont. Due to nearby farms, Montpelier has great farm-to-table dining. One of those farms is the Morse Maple Sugar Works Farm, 3 miles northeast of downtown, where they make candy, cream, maple butter, and kettle corn. You can see a live presentation of the process of sugaring, or go on a maple trail scavenger hunt. I think this is one of the better farms, really gives you a taste of Vermont. We now begin to head west towards Burlington, but on the way we want to show you the areas of Stowe and Waterbury. Even the interstates in Vermont are scenic. We'll go to the north part of Stowe and then come back south to Waterbury. The Stowe Mountain Resort, both a summer and winter resort, serves 2 separate mountains. Mount Mansfield, which has a vertical drop of 2,300 feet, 5th largest in New England, as well as Spruce Peak. Great alpine and cross-country skiing here. And you can snowboard, rock climb, zip line, and take the very scenic gondola sky ride. In the summer, Smuggler's Notch State Park is a narrow pass through the Green Mountains, lined with 1,000-foot cliffs. The Mountain Golf Course at Spruce Peak. Another unique place for lodging, the Austrian Alps-style Innsbruck Inn, located 1.5 miles from the ski area. It sits on the West Branch Little River, next to the Brookdale Covered Bridge. At the Mountain Ops store, you can purchase or rent both skis and bikes. Look at the tires on that puppy. You can take that rental bike on the Stowe Bike Path, a 5.3 recreational trail that starts at the Innsbruck Inn. It follows the West Branch Little River, going through Thompson Park here. Just an amazing park on the river. Beautiful trees, barbecue grills, picnic tables, and a vintage bridge. One of the best ways to really enjoy the nature of Stowe is to hop on board a horse-drawn carriage or wagon and travel down dirt roads with the Gentle Giant sleigh and carriage rides. Enjoy flavorful golden beers at the Austrian-style brewery, Von Trapp Brewing. Start your day with a hot brew at this coffee roastery, the Artisan Coffee and Tea Company. Nothing better than sitting outside enjoying the scenic Vermont countryside with a hot brew. One of Vermont's most popular places of interest is the Cold Hollow Cider Mill, but be prepared to wait in line for their donuts. They are very popular. Also, the Apple Core restaurant is here, always highly reviewed. The barn lunch and tasting room next door. View the vintage cars in the field. Now in Waterbury, we continue on Route 100, and now a solemn part of our video, as we remember the ice cream flavors who have been laid to rest in the Ben & Jerry's graveyard. Flavors who, for one reason or another, never fulfilled their full potential. A little epitaph on each gravestone, some who only lived a very short time. But the good news is, pumpkin cheesecake still lives on. You can take a factory tour and enjoy either an old or new flavor at the Scoop Shop, the cows that help produce the delicious ice cream. Ben & Jerry are far from the state's sole producers of delicious ice cream. Vermont has many roadside scoop shops, offering local creams. A view of downtown Waterbury. The historic train station where the Amtrak Vermonter has a stop. On the western shoreline of Vermont, 50 miles south of Burlington, the Essex-Charlotte Ferry carries vehicles for a scenic 30-minute ride between New York and Vermont with spectacular views of both the Green and the Adirondack Mountains, about $11 per vehicle. Shelburne Farms, about 7 miles south of Burlington, is a 1,400-acre working farm on the shores of Lake Champlain. On the property, Gilded Age 19th century architecture. The farm has on-site educational programming, including tours in the children's farmyard, as well as several walking trails and a curbside farm store, where you can purchase dishes, product, farmstead cheddar, maple syrup, and more. We stayed at the pet-friendly La Quinta Inn in South Burlington. It was one of the better rooms we've had on the trip, and across the street had a delicious vegetarian pizza at Zachary's. Sitting on the eastern shores of Lake Champlain is Burlington, the largest city in Vermont. Ben & Jerry's was founded here in a renovated gas station in 1978. Vermont Teddy Bear also founded here. The Burlington Waterfront Park is where several large music and food festivals take place. With 900 feet of lakeshore, a boardwalk, and benches, it is a great place to grab a maple creamy at one of the many eateries and hang out enjoying the view of the Adirondack Mountains. Take a narrated scenic cruise on the Spirit of Ethan Allen. Or take a scenic dinner train ride around Lake Champlain on the Green Mountain Railroad. Or have a waterside dinner and drink at the Splash at the Boathouse restaurant, with seating right on the boardwalk. Shanties on the shore, another option for waterside dining. The Waterside Park is adjacent to the Community Boathouse and Echo Museum, a science and nature museum. The Burlington Bike Path, which runs from the southern border of Burlington to the Winooski River, where it connects to the Colchester Bike Path. The Church Street Marketplace, a 4-block pedestrian mall in the heart of the city, is the site of festivals throughout the year. We head up scenic I-89 to St. Albans, a tourist destination noted for its Victorian and Craftsman-style architecture built during the railroad era. In April, St. Albans hosts the annual Vermont Maple Festival. Festivities include food-related contests as well as the Sap Run, an 8.2-mile foot race. St. Albans is the end of the line for the Amtrak Vermonter. Another nice La Quinta Inn here. Not too many motels here, so was pleased to see that this La Quinta was really good. If planning your trip to Vermont during the fall colors, book early because these hotels do fill up. So much gear to unload as we stay for the night before heading to the Northeast Kingdom. A gorgeous day on Route 105 as we cross the Missisquoi River. The Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail is 26 miles long, one of the most scenic bike ski trails in the country. This trail wanders through farms, forests, fields, and the wetlands of Franklin County with postcard views of Vermont. The northern parts of Vermont are not as crowded as the southern parts. The counties of Essex, Orleans, and Caledonia are what are considered the Northeast Kingdom. More on that later. We are headed towards the Canadian border at Derby Line. As we enter Newport, an impressive cathedral, the Romanesque-style St. Mary Star of the Sea, sits on the tallest part of the Newport Peninsula. The Northeast Kingdom city of Newport is on the southern shore of Lake Memphremagog, about 7 miles from the Canadian border. Newport is a charming tourist town with specialty shops, boutiques, cafes, and restaurants. Newport provides year-round adventures with boating, hiking, biking, fishing, skiing, and snowmobiling. Just a gorgeous town on the river with the mountains in the backdrop. Crossing Lake Memphremagog on Route 5 as we head up to Canada. So much of this area takes a lot of its influence from France, and that continues more so when you cross the border. We are only 100 miles from Montreal, Quebec. Before 9/11 at Derby Line, the only wall here at the border was a potted row of plants. For years, the locals have largely ignored the border. It physically snakes side streets in and out of houses, through the public library, and straight down the middle of a main road that they call Connecticut, USA. Of course, with terrorism, there has been increased security. We now head south to Lake Willoughby, perhaps the most symbolic image of the Northeast Kingdom. The term Northeast Kingdom originated over 50 years ago in honor of not only its breathtaking scenery, but also its way of life here that is a little different from the rest of Vermont. The people are humble, hardworking, take pride in the challenges that the local weather and terrain can present. It was casually said by Governor George Aiken during a political appearance in 1949, and the name stuck. It is the most unspoiled, beautiful parts of Vermont, a little more rugged than the rest of Vermont, an outdoor lover's paradise. The Kingdom Trails are rated as one of the top 5 mountain biking networks in the world. We have arrived at Vermont's natural wonder. Lake Willoughby, a deep, clean lake flanked by steep mountains, Mt Pisgah on the north side, and Mount Hor on the south side with Lake Willoughby Forest. This is a view like what you would see in Norway. There is hiking everywhere. On Mount Hor, the summit and ridge trails with great views of several ponds in the valley to the west. Also nearby, the Wheeler Mountain Trail with an especially beautiful view of Lake Willoughby. There is great fishing. In summer, people catch rainbow trout, lake trout, and landlocked salmon. In winter, they catch perch. There are beaches on both the north and south end for swimming, kayaking, and paddleboarding. Many seasonal camps and cottages for rent. On the north end of the lake, the romantic Willowvale Inn and Cottages. This is where Robert Frost used to camp when it was a farm. Gill's Bar and Grill with delicious seafood and steak located here. As we head to our last location, we take a typical Vermont dirt road. Vermont has more dirt roads than any other state, and all of them seem to be scenic. So if your GPS leads you on a dirt road, don't worry, it probably knows where it is taking you. Just relax and enjoy the views. Island Pond is located in the town of Brighton, just 17 miles from the Canadian border. This is one of Vermont's best kept secrets. In fact, it was not even on our list, but drove through it going to New Hampshire, and I said, I have to stop and film. While it is considered Vermont's snowmobiling capital, it has plenty of summer outdoor activities, fishing, hunting, swimming, hiking, as well as skiing in the winter. A great town for the fall foliage, as you can see. You can camp right on the lake under the red and white pines at Lakeside Camping, with 2 beaches, playgrounds, video arcade, boat rentals, and Sunset Lake cruises. You know, a great man once said, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Well, there's no better place to slow down and look around than in Vermont. From the Connecticut River to Lake Champlain, Vermont is a painting in motion. I'd love to hear about places you have enjoyed in Vermont, perhaps places we didn't even show. We are Tampa Aerial Media. We film travel promos across the USA. For licensing or stock footage, contact us at info@tampaaerialmedia.com. Next week, we head to a state where we have the choice to live free or die, New Hampshire. Thank you for watching vibrant, beautiful, and colorful Vermont.